Okay, in this video, I'm going to help you understand how to interpret your Inbody results as best you can. Before we get into it though, I need to frame a couple of things. The first thing is that there is no accurate way to actually measure someone's body composition as a snapshot in time. So we cannot step you off the Inbody and actually say you are 20% body fat because the Inbody says you're 20% body fat. That's what we use. That goes for any method of measuring your body composition. So you may have heard of things like a bod pod, a DEXA scan, maybe skin fold calipers, where we pinch your subcutaneous fat at different sites and estimate your body composition, or the Inbody, which is something called bioelectrical impedance. None of those are 100% accurate to say somebody is X% body fat to work out their body composition. You can take the same person, same day, same time, do all those methods, and they'll all give you a different percentage based off the system that they use to estimate our body composition. Now, that said, most methods are relatively accurate to themselves, relatively consistent, so they're not bad at measuring changes. So if someone has 20% body fat at day one, and in 6 weeks' time they have 17% body fat, we can say there or thereabouts that person's roughly lost 3% body fat. We just cannot say that person is X%. So they're not bad at measuring change. That said, again, there are caveats and a few nuances which I want to go through a little bit later. So first thing is understanding what's important to you. Now, people start at the gym for various different reasons. Some people it is about feeling better. It's about getting fitter. It's about getting stronger. Some people it is about wanting to lose weight or improve our body composition. So body composition meaning increased muscle mass, less fat mass. So weight might not change a huge deal, might change a little bit, but it's more about what we're made up of in general. Now, the reasons most people wanted to change that is usually because they want to look and feel a little bit better. And that can be in or out of our clothes, could be wanting to feel more confident with our top off, going on holiday or in a bikini. It could be wanting to fit in our clothes a little bit better in general. Or body composition could be related to performance, for example, sports performance. So being a little bit lighter, losing a little bit of fat mass might help somebody run a half marathon better because they're carrying less body weight, or having more muscle mass might make someone a little bit more effective if they're playing football or rugby or netball, or more of a kind of power-based or team-based sport. So body composition can potentially be relative to sports performance as well, dependent on someone's start point. When you know what it is you want to achieve and why, then you can choose the methods that are more important to you. So quite often people come to us and they have no idea what their body fat is, or roughly they might know what they weigh roughly, and they probably know, okay, well, I'm at a 38 waist at the minute in my jeans, and I wouldn't mind being a 34, or I'm in a size 16 and I wouldn't mind being a size 12. So or I've just got how I look and feel in the mirror, or pictures, or whatever it is. So those are usually the better form of measurement for people, because that's why they start in the first place. So taking inches, taking pictures, using multiple ways of measuring our progress is always advised. So you can take lots of different things because all of them have different kind of pros and cons, but take as many, but take the one that's most important to you. So if you're trying to get into a certain clothes size or whatever it is, take some pictures, do some inches, and use those because they're gonna help. Now, onto your body composition. Now, we use the Inbody scanner at day one with a lot of people, partly just to give us a bit of a start point. Okay, we are not Weight Watchers. We'd rather people maybe don't stress too much about their body composition, focus on processes, enjoying their training, eating well. That stuff will come along, but people do like to kind of monitor their changes. We will get some information off there, because that data at day one will help us make better estimates in relation to the advice we give with nutrition. So estimating someone's metabolic rate, and then having a chat with them and working out their maintenance calories, and then being able to advise best on, okay, well, what's a good start point for that person's goal to help them move forward. And that's really why we do it at day one. And then it's up to people then, if it is something they want to monitor more closely over time, then you guys are welcome to do your Inbody scans as frequently as you like, but we'd always advise allowing time to see progress and focus on the processes. So how do we interpret what we are reading? What's the information we're getting? So the first thing is understanding how the Inbody works. So the Inbody uses electricity, so it sends a couple of frequencies through the body, and basically muscle is roughly 75% kind of water, fat is like 10%. So muscle and lean tissue is a better conductor of electricity than fat mass. So it will take a couple of readings and basically measure how quickly that electricity goes through the body and back to the other kind of touch point, the metal bits on the Inbody scanners, and it'll estimate, okay, well, if someone's X height, weight, age, gender, etc., it will then go, okay, well, that's an estimate of how much fat mass versus muscle mass is in that person's left leg, right leg, trunk, left arm, right arm, okay? And then it'll estimate your body composition. That's essentially what's happening. So how do we interpret those results? I'm going to flip onto my screen in a minute so you can have a little look through the app, and I'll just talk through a bit of voiceover so you can understand exactly what that information is telling you. So the dashboard is going to give you an overview of our body weight. So you can see the historical data there as well. So the more results you have, the more information there's going to be. If you skip across, it'll show the muscle mass and then body fat as a percentage. Then if we scroll down a little bit, the add result button is where you add your results, scan the QR code on the machine. Then below that, there might be a few little tips with nutrition. Obviously, we're going to send you that data so you can follow what we say. Skip across the detail at the top, and this will give us a segmental analysis, so a breakdown of where we hold our muscle mass, like lean body mass. Like I said before, it'll do your left leg, right leg, both arms, and your trunk, and then estimate from there. Skip across, it'll show you your fat distribution. Then below, this is our muscle fat analysis. So weight, muscle mass, fat mass. Often when people start out, that would make a bit of a C shape. As we drop body weight and fat mass, muscle mass creeps up, it'll come into line, and then eventually make more of this D-type shape where muscle mass is a bit ahead of our weight and fat mass. Then we have BMI and body fat percentage. I won't worry too much about those. A little bit flawed from a metric perspective. And then this number here, your metabolic rate. This is what we will use to estimate your nutrition targets. And with some of these things, if you click on them, it'll actually open out and give you a little bit more information about what that is. So for here, example, clicking on metabolic rate, it'll show you what that means. So you can learn a little bit about what we're reading. Then the important bit, if we go over to history, this is where you can compare all your historical data, the things that mean the most to you. Skeletal muscle mass and fat mass are the ones I'd be looking at. Fat mass is the thing, if you're trying to lose weight, this is what we want to change. We're trying to lose fat mass. So that's the number for me that is the one that you want to look at and be making sure it's trending in the right direction. Body fat as a percentage, I wouldn't stress too much about. Visceral fat, so the fat internally around our organs, you can see that move, that's great. And then total body water. Why is body water important? Because most of your changes in weight will be to do with your fluid balance. So being able to, my weight went up, but everyone associates that with fat. Quite often it's more to do with our water content than anything. And that will be closely linked to muscle mass as well. So there's lots of information in the app. What I don't want you to do is get overwhelmed with that information and understand that there are nuances within being able to interpret this information. So what's really important is consistency of time of day. So when you do a scan, because it's measuring your hydration, if you do a scan in the evening, okay, we're going to probably have a little bit more water, glycogen in our muscle cells. We've been eating and drinking throughout the day. We're going to have a higher body weight, higher total body water, and it would likely show you have more muscle mass because muscle, as we said earlier, is 75% water. So when we've eaten and drank and stuff like that throughout the day, our muscles, like a sponge, will uptake glycogen into muscle cells, so we'll have a little bit more fluid within our muscles, and the machine would read that as having more muscle. If you look at the history, what you'll notice is your muscle mass readings, the shape of that line will go hand in hand with your water readings as well. So if you did it in an evening and your muscle mass was 35 kilos and you did it in the morning and your muscle mass was 32 kilos, you haven't lost 3 kilos of muscle mass overnight. That's physiologically impossible. It just means we've got a little bit less water. So don't panic too much if your muscle mass kind of jumps up and down depending on when you're doing it. Other things that can affect the reading, you've got things like stress. Again, that can mess about with our fluid balance. Our training, so our exercise. If you trained in a particularly heavy or hard session day before, then you've got a couple of things at play. One, our hydration status in general can be affected, but also we can have some information, so kind of water retention in and around our muscles that can affect the reading. Sleep is another thing, can have a big impact. Time of the month for females, obviously your monthly cycle at different stages, we're going to be holding water at different levels. So you're probably looking at trying to compare kind of a week 1 reading to the next month's week 1 reading and so on to be a little bit more accurate with it. And then diet. So dependent on our nutrition. So for instance, carbohydrate, for every gram of carbohydrate we consume, your body will hold kind of 2 to 3 grams of water as well. So if we've had a particularly higher carbohydrate meal the night before, and then we do a scan the morning after, potentially again, we might have a little bit more body weight, a little bit more muscle mass. And where that can affect things is when we look at body fat as a percentage, which is why I encourage you to look at the fat mass reading as opposed to the body fat percentage reading if we're trying to alter our body composition. Because if you do a scan now and then you drank 3 litres of water and jumped back on the Inbody scanner, okay, your body fat as a percentage would come down. And I know this because when I used to play rugby, we used to mess about with these machines all the time to make sure we were on the right side with our strength and conditioning coaches. But because your weight would be higher because you've drank 3 litres of water, it weighs something, but you've not gained any fat mass. So as a percentage of your weight that is fat, it would therefore be lower. So understand that it's a great way to measure changes, but we need consistency with time of day. And finally, trusting your processes. You know if you're doing what's needed to move you in the right direction. You've got other metrics, your pictures, your the inches, whatever it is. You know if you're doing things right and you're moving in the right direction. So quite often, some people will, before they get on Inbody, say, I feel great. I feel like I've made some positive changes over the last couple of weeks, been smashing my nutrition, my training, jump on. Body fat's not saying what it should do. And we get deflated. Now, that's not always a feedback that we're doing something wrong. Sometimes, like I say, there are times when you're going to get the odd bum reading. You just got to trust your processes. If you're getting multiple times where it's going in the wrong direction, then that's where you can book in with a coach, and we might need to investigate. Might be we're maybe not quite doing what we need to with our nutrition, knowingly or unknowingly, or maybe we can help guide you in the right direction. So it is an amazing bit of kit. It is good for monitoring changes. Take each kind of reading with a kind of pinch of salt, understand the nuances, and the more data you have over time, the better it will become for you to make informed decisions about what you're doing with your training and your nutrition to make sure you're going in the right direction. And anything you need on this, you can always book in with a coach if you need any extra help and support. Hopefully this video has helped a little bit. Any questions off the back of it, feel free to drop us a message, guys.